Okay, so here's this asshole, this Bret Michaels, who I actually did take over to Zangy. I set the phone down to get my earbuds, to pick him up, to record everything. I get back to Zangy, it's gone. Everything he wrote is gone. So I will read what I put, and then we can figure out what that idiot was doing. He wasn't that interesting. He was just as dumb as the rest of them. So I said to him, I can't believe you people still try this bullshit. He says, hello, how are you doing? I said, just fine, having a laugh. He says, okay, thanks for supporting my dreams and career. My God Almighty bless you. I said, what makes you think I'm supporting your dream? And also, thanks for the likes on my page and all support shown as a special fan of mine. And then on my question of what makes you think I'm supporting your dream, he says, do you like my music? I said, your music? No. Bret Michaels' music? Kind of. He responds, why don't you like my music? Tell me one reason. I said, you don't make music. Bret Michaels does. You don't. He says, really? Can you send me a picture of you? I said, no, and sent him Buffalo Bill. I said, you love it because you're like that. He says, really? What's your name and how old are you? I said, my name is Yura, and you can read the last name. I am 35. And then I sent him more Buffalo Bill. I said, don't let Mr. Winky get too excited. He says that I have a nice name. I said, yep, say it out loud, Bret. And where are you from? I said, Saturn Valley in Eagle Land. And how are you doing over there? So I sent him a, excuse me, Buffalo Bill gift that says, I'd fuck me. And I said, it's just fine, Bret. And then responding to my own gif, I said, we all know you would. Because if you guys recall, these scammers are particularly homophobic. So this makes them more mad than anything. So I sent him Buffalo Bill, again, an insane amount of Buffalo Bill gifts. Are you a worker? He asks. I said, a worker? The fuck is that? He says, where do you work? I said, do you mean sex worker? I knew you liked what you saw in those gifts. He says, no. I said, just admit it, Bret. He's your fantasy. He says, why? I said, I don't know. You tell me. You're the one drooling over those gifts. And then I lied. I said, I work on the Parker Solar Probe project. That's science stuff. You don't have the brain computation power to understand heliophysics. And then in parentheses, I said, that's the study of the sun. And to that, he says, okay, wow, you have a nice job. I said, don't get too excited over the word probe. It's a thing we sent to the sun to study it, not probing you. He says, I know you must have been amazed and shocked on how I got to message you. I said, you didn't message me, Bret. But no, I am not shocked that you are messaging me. You're nobody. But I have learned you have a thing for men and women's clothing, which if you were truly Bret Michaels, you'd have no problems with agreeing. I remember that episode of Rock of Love, where you and your ladies switched clothing. You had way too much fun with the teddy. Totally made that up. Which, you know what? I don't know if Bret Michaels likes to cross-dress. If he does, more power to him. And he says, are you really okay? And then he said that, yes, he remembers having too much fun with the teddy. I said, I'm okay. You're not. You're doubling down like KFC. He says, are you single or married? I said, I'm in a polyamorous relationship with George Michael, Morton Harkett, Johnny Depp, and Kathy Bates. They all messaged me and said they loved me, but they needed gift cards because they were stuck on an oil rig. They needed Apple gift cards to pay their taxes and Steam cards to pay for a helicopter off. He says, really? And do you have kids? I said, no. And now remember, my whole point is to just get a rise out of them. No, I had a baby once, but it wouldn't shut up. So I shook the shit out of it to quiet it. It worked. And then I say, tell me about your performance with Eminem. Your duet of I Got You, Babe brought the house down. That was the same night he did Run Around Sue, yes? And completely ignoring what I said about the baby, he just says, really? And then he said his performance with Eminem was perfect. Have you been to my concert? I said, the one you did with Nat King Cole was great. He said, thanks. I said, but I had more fun at the one where you were with Tiny Tim. Then he says, what do you like about my personality? Fucking weird question, huh? I said, you were living in the sunlight and loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time, which is a Tiny Tim song. Probably somebody else's song, but I only know Tiny Tim did it. He says, you are welcome. What do you miss being single? I said, selling hearts to the junk man, baby, for $1, which is God's Away on Business by Tom Waits. And he sounds just like Cookie Monster in that song. Recommend go look up Cookie Waits. What is the craziest thing you have ever done been single? I said, I never had to knock on wood, but I know someone who has, which makes me wonder if I could. And I'm glad I haven't yet, because I'm sure it isn't good. That's the impression that I get, which is the impression that I get by the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. You can tell what era I was a teenager in. He says, so don't you feel lonely sometimes? And I said, please don't judge a book by its cover. There's more to being a Latin lover. You got to know how to deal with a man who won't let go, the price you pay for being a gigolo. Which, again, Rico Suave. He says, as for me, I feel lonely a lot of times, and that's why I need to find my true love, a person that will love me as much as I will love her. Excuse the wind, people. I didn't know it was this windy outside. Excuse me. I said, well, maybe one day you'll find her or him. He says, of course. It really takes strength, patience, understanding, and discipline to build a responsible family where there's peace, love, and harmony. And that's the kind of family I want. What about you? And I said, trying to make a jump on the initial romance scam. I said, you say you're looking for someone who's never weak, but always strong, to protect you and defend you, whether you are right or wrong. Someone to open each and every door, but it ain't me, babe. No, 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 it ain't me, babe. It ain't me you're looking for. Think Johnny and June. He responds to that, I never mentioned your name. I only told you what I want. I said, well, it ain't me, babe. Just making sure we get that straight. He says, good morning. The next day. I said, oh, you're back. He says, how are you doing today? I said, fine, Mugu. He says, I'm glad you are fine. And what are you doing now? I said, nothing. Was choking out a child. It pissed me off by saying Mick Mars was overrated. He completely ignores that. Says, how has work been going? I said, just fine. We keep having X-class solar flares, Bret, which I don't know if that's true. He says, okay, how many hours do you work? I said, well, Bret, about as many hours as you, meaning none, because this ain't Bret Michaels. Really? And you do work on weekends too? I said, sometimes. I'm too good for that, though. I make enough. Why would I work more than I have to, Bret? He responds, really, don't know. What are your best wishes in life? I said, to stay rich and put out my own song called The Sun Sucks. He says, wow, okay. Can you tell me more about your parents? I said, they're dead, which is not true. Only my mother is. He says, so sorry for your loss, my condolences. Hope you do cherish them. I said, why? All they did was make sure I didn't die, which is not how I feel. That's their love for you. I said, sure. My mom went off and died without warning. So much love for me, which obviously really not how I feel. But she did pass unexpectedly almost 6 years ago. And then he sends me these emojis with the hearts around the head. I said, I too don't read what's been sent to me, XD. Are you the only child of your parents? I said, I am now. I had 4, but I grew tired of competing for my parents' love and got rid of the competition with my Ted Bundy impression when I was 15. But they're dead too, so it doesn't matter. I compete for nothing these days. He says, okay. I said, okay. He says, pretty. Do you use Zangy so we can chat over there privately? I said, oh, sure. Why not? What's your number? So he sends my number, and here you guys go. Another Zangy number. And if you guys have Zangy, please annoy the shit out of this guy, because he made me mad since he deleted everything within like 10 seconds. It was gone. I said, yep, sure, Bret, with Zangy. He says, okay. I said, okay, Bret, pick one, here or Zangy. Because at this point, we were talking on Zangy. And he said Zangy. And that is the end of Bret Michaels on Facebook. Give me a little bit. I will record me on Zangy because that asshole just instant delete. So now I know why some of you record it as it's going on. So I might have to start doing that. Anyways, thank you for watching and stay tuned for the next one.